There is this sister that I have these regular conversations with. The conversations are based on the ways of Israel. We come from, at present, I would say, different backgrounds. She's Ashkenazi Jewish, which means her basic tradition is Judaism. She's just beginning to learn about the Igbos. So, if you consider my own background, I'm Igbo. My basic tradition is Omenana, though I happen to have studied Judaism, Samaritanism, Karaism, and the Beta Israel religion for over 20 years, and I have also studied religion itself and how to study religion. And we have these very, I believe, very fruitful conversations. Almost the same age, though I will be a little bit older than her. A mother of 5, lives with the family in Israel. We have these regular conversations, and I've discovered that in more than one ways we are similar. Both of us like to double down. Our latest conversation is about the status of this Igboland. This sister believes, or believed, because I don't know what she believes today, but I know that as before yesterday, she believed that the only land bequeathed to the children of Israel is the land mentioned in Genesis and other passages of the Bible explicitly. How did this conversation come up? I've said repeatedly that I know that Igboland is also a bequest from that God of Israel, and I have supported my position with the Bible. Solomon prayed to God and said, when your children sin and you send them away, if they repent and pray facing this temple, forgive them. What is the sin? Or what was the sin that will warrant those children of Israel to be sent away? What commandments will they violate that will warrant them to be sent away? Remember, we have to look at time now. What traditions of Israel was Solomon familiar with? Solomon was familiar with the religion and culture we call Omenana. If you want more evidence, I will give you. Solomon was familiar only with the religion of Israel and culture of Israel that was concerned about animal sacrifices and so on and so forth, the goat of Azazel and so on and so forth. And this was what, if the people don't obey, they will be thrown out of the land. But when they repent and face the temple and pray, God should forgive them. For you to repent, you have to go back to that tradition you did not keep properly. So, we are looking at Omenan as the tradition which if the Israelites did not obey clearly and directly, they will get thrown out of the land. But if they keep Omenana, face the temple, and pray, God will forgive them from wherever they are. And I will say this, no matter how controversial it will be, it was only in Igbo land where that religion, this particular religion I'm discussing, with the animal sacrifices, it was only in Igbo land that most traditions of it were kept for thousands of years. Most traditions of it I'll repeat, it was only in Igboland, outside the land of Israel, that most traditions of this religion was kept. They were not kept anywhere else. And I'll tell you why they couldn't have been kept anywhere else. You need land to set loose, to let loose the goat of Azazel. You don't only need land, you need political power outside the land of Israel. The only place the people of Israel have had that kind of land and have held that kind of power was only in Igboland, nowhere else. The Igbos had total sovereignty, had a lot of power, and had total control of over 30,000 square kilometers of land until the British came, and they had it for over 1,000 years. I'll repeat, to let loose the goat of Azazel, you have to have land. You have to have political power. For those that are not very familiar with the culture and the history of Israel, outside the traditions of Israel, which you find in Omenana, some of which you find in Judaism, some of which you find in Karaism, and some of which you find in Samaritanism and the Beta Israel religion. The other most important marker of the Israelites is anti-Semitism. And this has been with us since earliest times. When people talk about anti-Semitism and talk about Christian Europe and so on and so forth, they are neglecting Egypt. Pharaoh was an anti-Semite. Pharaoh was an anti-Semite. So what am I saying? I don't think that the nations would have tolerated the Israelites to send the god of Azazel into their own lands. They would only tolerate the Israelites to send the god of Azazel into lands the Israelites owned. And when Dr. Professor Daniel Lees came to Igboland, he saw the goats of Azazel roaming about. Because even in our degraded, very much weakened position in Nigeria, we still possess Igboland, even though we are on the verge of losing it. Because we no longer know who we are. The contemporary Igbo thinks he's a Christian, thinks he's an African, thinks he's all sorts of things. But the reality is that he's an Israelite that lost his way. So the land may be lost, but as of today, the land is still possessed almost exclusively by the Igbo people. Up to 90% of the population in that land is Igbos, because Nigeria deliberately denied it of development so that Igbos will keep on traveling out, migration. And this was not started by Nigeria alone. I will not go to the root of the history. But whatever Nigeria has done to the Igbos was possible because the Igbos did what? Began to joke with the commandments. But all these are besides the point. The most important point in this treatise is God told us in the Torah, tells us in the Torah, study these commandments. Study them. The more you look, the less you see. And remember, the commandments you study are not only those ones you see in the written Torah. The people were keeping those commandments until the scribes began to write them. So the things you are also going to study are those things you do in the land. And for God's sake, the Igbos retained even the name of what you are supposed to do. Omenana, Deuteronomy 6:1, the things you will do in the land. So the things you are also supposed to be studying are those things you do. Yesterday, while discussing with this sister of mine, she said, we are the people of the book, we refer to the text. The Igbos are not less people of the book than the Jews. Not less. We have studied the Torah, the written Torah, from the very moment they were codified. Forget about the interruptions that everybody, including the Jews, went through exile. But very importantly, Because God gave us a land we had total control of. We went beyond studying only those ones that are written. We studied those ones that are not written. For example, I'm not very sure that if you are not Igbo, you will understand what this biblical passage says, cover me with your garment, which was what Ruth, the Moabitess, told Boaz, the Israelite, when she wanted him to marry her. She said, cover me with your garment. Go to where I was born. By the way, I was born at Uru Okwe. Our ancestor Abraham was born at Uru Chaldea. Go there today, tell everybody you see, Abiarum for Ema Ogodo. I've come for covering of with the garment. If you are not Igbo, I'm not sure you will understand what the Bible is saying. The Bible is saying that you are here for a wedding. That's what the Bible is saying. But before I get out of this session, this sister gives me joy. She lives in Israel with the family. You know why she gives me joy? She finds joy in studying the Torah. And not only from her own tradition, but from the other Israelite tradition. That is what the Igbos are. The other, no less important Israelite tradition. And all the arms of Israel must come together for the people of Israel to be healed. One part alone cannot be healed. Both arms must come together to be healed. Thank you. Dalo. Shalom.